the Zongo of yesterday, we didn't have lots of, graduates, even people with PhD and masters, we didn't have them, but now we have.
Welcome to the Lowdown on Ghanaweb TV. This is your most informative socio-political and personality interview show online. We bring you facts and updates on issues that matter to you. My name is Ismail Akwei. In this edition, we are going to discuss Zongo Communities and how Zongo used to be or has been synonymous with violence, yet politicians always troop to that community and knock on their doors during elections for votes. A Zongo of yesterday, the Zongo of today. Our guest is a gem from the Zongo, and he leads a lot of intervention programs to improve the community. We'll speak more with him right after this break. This is the Lowdown. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back from the break. This is the Lowdown on Ghanaweb TV. My name is Ismail Akwei, and our guest is here. Our guest is Mr. Mahmoud Jajah. He's the CEO of ZongoVation Hub and also as real Zongo gem. Welcome, Mahmoud.
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you here.
Good to see you, brother.
Yes. And I refer to you as a Zongo gem.
Yes.
And I understand there are so many people who are doing a lot of things in the Zongo community.
Yeah.
How did you get to the level you got to? Is it through education, through influence? Is it through friends, or it was out of personal, following personal dreams and visions?
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. The Zongo community is a very complicated, if you like, I would say, animal, in the sense that there are so many things happening in the Zongo community. Alhamdulillah, some of us have had the opportunity of, if you like, education, and then from the family we are coming from, a bit influential. And the fact that as young people, we continue to read and expose ourselves to happenings elsewhere beyond our community, we realize that the kind of education we have and experience and exposure that we have, there's the need to bring to bear some form of transformation in the Zongo community. That is why we are still committed to, we believe strongly, in my case, I believe strongly, passionately, that the Zongos can be transformed.
Does that mean with education, people from Zongo can make it, and also those or the others who are not successful cannot or will not have an excuse to say they didn't make it?
Exactly. Education is the easiest way to transform a society, because once you are educated, your options are many. You'll be able to do so many things. So with the level of education that you have, education is supposed to, give you a new perspective about issues, how to, even the way you live in your society. So it's important that's why this time around we have a lot of young people from the Zongo communities, pursuing higher education. And I always tell them that, look, let your education reflect in the way you live, your society. So education is the easiest way, but I always use three things. I believe strongly if we are to focus on these three things, we'll be able to transform the Zongo community within the shortest possible time. One is education. We need to educate more of our young people. Two is sports. Sports is big business, and sports is one of the easiest way we can get more young people out of poverty. And then three is technology. Technology is like a miracle. And that is where my focus is, because among these three things, education, sports, technology is the easiest, which can make a lot of impact. So if we can focus on education, sports, and technology, we can transform the Zongo community within the shortest possible time.
In my intro, I said the Zongo of yesterday, is it the Zongo of today?
No.
And we'll talk about that, but let's go to the foundation.
Yes.
There's this perception that Zongos are Muslim communities, and a lot of people question why politicians, why leaders in the country would want to go to the Zongo communities whenever they are discussing youth development.
Yeah.
Is Zongo a Muslim community?
Technically, yes. Technically, yes, because one of the features of a Zongo community we can use two things: the language, which is the Hausa language, which has become the lingua franca of the people of the Zongo community, and then two is religion, Islam. But now you cannot say that, because there are majority of the people in Zongo communities are Muslims, but we have non-Muslims in the Zongo community. But once you have a lot of people speaking Hausa, and then the religion is also Islam, because the formation of the Zongo community itself was as a result of these Hausa traders from northern Nigeria, moving. So the word itself is Zongo, a bit corrupted to Zongo. Zongo is like a temporary camp for these traders to settle. So they didn't intend to stay permanently. But, with the passage of time, one thing led to another, and then some of them, intermarry and then stayed. So it's basically because of their religion and the language, Hausa and Islam, so it's influenced. So the migration of most northerners, I'm a northerner, but I was born and brought in Zongo community. I'm from Bole, Gonja. So a lot of northerners also migrated to the south. So one language that was like able to bring all of them together is the Hausa language. So you see a Frafra, a Dagati, a Gonja, a Dagomba, all of us speaking Hausa, because that is the link. So that's why the Zongo community is more like seen as Islam and then also Hausa. But we have other non-Muslims.
Indeed, a 2018 report by the defunct Ministry of Inner City and Zongo Development said there are about 1,080 Zongo communities across the 16 regions of Ghana, and all these communities together make up 4.6 million inhabitants. Would anyone have the right or some kind of, would they have any justification to say there is a bit of bias towards the Zongo communities? Because when funds are being put together, there's a fund for Zongo development, and then inner city is separated from Zongo. Would anyone have any justification to say that?
Yes, the Zongos historically have been marginalized, because even the colonial governments didn't see the Zongos as the real indigenes, because they were trade caravans, moving. So they were not even factored into national planning. So that's how come some of the Zongos still lack social amenities. So in contemporary times, politicians have realized that the Zongos have become like a political base. You cannot do without the Zongos. And because of the population density of the Zongos, have huge, population. So politicians want to capitalize. Now, before you capitalize on something like this, there's the need for you to bring out programs, come out with something. So that's why the current government, the New Patriotic Party, thought that they should come out with something, because they don't have good image due to some historical reasons as well, the Aliens Compliance Act and so on and so forth. So they decided to establish the Ministry of Inner City and Zongo Development. I strongly believe in affirmative action, because we didn't start on the level playing field. So there's the need for us to have some form of push. So the ministry, the establishment of the ministry was, for me, the intention was good. Although people say it's political, of course, a politician needs something, to stand on. So the intention was good, but the implementation was flawed. Absolutely, it was flawed.
So you support the end of the ministry?
I don't support the end. Like I said, the intention was good. And you cannot establish, look, it will take more than 40 or 50 years to change the Zongo community. So you cannot establish a ministry within 2 or 3 years to expect to see changes. That will not happen. But what the ministry failed to do was broader consultation. They should have taken the politics out of it, engage stakeholders, people who understand the Zongo very well. Because the Zongo, like I mentioned in my intro, is a complicated animal. You cannot sit somewhere in the ministries and decide for the Zongo community. I was actively involved. I engaged all the ministers of the defunct Zongo ministry. But the way we implemented it was too much political. That's why even the president didn't see the need for it to be continued, because it's lost, its soul at some point.
It's important to discuss what you do, and I know you led IYD.
Yes.
You're one of the founders or the founder of it.
Yeah.
That's the
Initiative for Youth Development.
Initiative for Youth Development, but the focus was on the Zongo Communities.
Community, exactly.
Yes. So with IYD, I know you realized some challenges from the communities that were real issues that could bring a long-term change in the Zongo development. Can you take us through some of these challenges that you found?
Yes, so IYD, Initiative for Youth Development. Like I said, because of my background, I realized that there's the need for us to do something about, especially young people in the Zongo community. So I started IYD. And you cannot build something on nothing. There's the need for you to have the data. Even the data the ministry is giving, about 1,000-something Zongo community, is still contested because you can't, So IYD was basically to collect data about Zongo community. So we started moving around the country. Because when we talk of Zongo community, usually because we are in Accra, we tend to focus on Nima, Mamobi, it goes beyond that. So we went to the regions to collect data. And one thing we are also missing out is there's sustainable development goals, which is a global, ambitions or agenda to eradicate poverty and other, goals. So I thought that if we bring young people in the Zongo communities together, we have our peculiar challenges. So once we move around, we engage with youth groups, we engage with various stakeholders to understand the exact problem that we want to tackle, so that inshallah by 2030, when the whole world is talking about, the end of poverty or even the reduction of poverty, the people of the Zongo community can also say that because of this and that we did during this period, we're able to, eradicate. So that's why we started IYD. And we came out with something that we also call the Zongo Youth Agenda, so that we want to engage stakeholders, so that we tell them that, look, in your efforts to transform the Zongo communities, we want you to focus on these areas, because these are the aspirations of young people. When we went around, these are the things that they need, attention to be paid on. So we started that. So it was as a result of IYD that we came out with ZongoVation Hub. Okay. So ZongoVation Hub started actually as a project under IYD, because we realized that technology is the tool that we can use to accelerate our development.
We'll talk about ZongoVation Hub later, but I want us to dive into the issues that you gathered. So the challenges we are talking about here, IYD unearthed a lot of the challenges. And these were coming from people from the Zongo, the youth. And I want us to dive into that and see what exactly were they asking for. Were they asking for bread and butter, or what were they asking for indeed?
Yeah, so depending on the location, the Zongo communities, we have the urban Zongos and then we have the rural Zongos. So for instance, when we're in Sunyani and then also in Wenchi, some of the things they were asking for are different from what the young people in Nima or Mamobi will be asking for. For instance, in these, let me use the word rural Zongos, they are more interested in support for agriculture, because some of them are already in cooperative organizations, so they just need some support to be able to expand their agric. And then some of them are also looking for scholarships, to pursue higher education. But generally we identified education, because we believe that although there's free compulsory universal basic education, to succeed in the 21st century, it goes beyond basic education. You need to acquire higher education, you need skills, and some of these are expensive. So institutions like the Zongo Development Fund can focus their attention on giving scholarships and then supporting young people to pursue higher education in specific areas. So for instance, we are looking at engineering, we are looking at technology, we are looking at medicine. We still need more lawyers in the Zongo communities, doctors, these are the areas that we are looking at. So education and then skills, not everybody can go to the university or the polytechnic. And if you look at the Zongo community, even the genesis of the Zongo community started as a result of trading. So there are a lot of businesses, young people with businesses. they need capital, they need support to be able to expand their businesses. So these are some of the areas that we are looking at: education, skills, acquisition, funding for young entrepreneurs. Especially, you look at beyond Accra, the rural zongos, they need money to to support their agri. Some of them have started. It's not as if they just need the money to start something new. They've already started. They just need to expand what they are doing, and this will even create jobs, because they will need more hands to support them to be able to take their businesses forward.
It would be interesting to know what the macho men in the Zongo communities would want. Are they also looking for jobs?
Unfortunately, we didn't interact with the macho men, but the macho men already are more or less like they are engaged. we are focused on young people who are coming up, because we believe that the future of the Zongo community depends on what young people are doing now. So our focus is on young people in the Zongo community. We didn't consider the macho men.
I'm sure the macho men are engaged by politicians already.
They are engaged by politicians. They are bodyguards, unfortunately. Some of them are land guards as well, But we believe that, in changing a society, you don't need everybody to become change maker. You just need few. So the few change makers can change the rest. So we are focused on people that we think they are still young, that we can still, help transform, their career path. So we are not focusing on the macho men, the langars. We are not. A time will come, their services will not be needed. So we are not focusing on them.
Historically, a lot of people in the Zongo communities moved from other places to where they are. Colonialism brought a lot of people who came as servicemen to Accra. Some moved to Kumasi and other places. Even people came from Nigeria to settle in Ghana to form the Zongo communities. Right now, we are having something, I don't want to call it brain drain, but it could be a human flight of a lot of the resources, the human resource in the Zongo communities, who are moving to other places in Africa, even other places in Ghana. And I don't know if that is a problem or it is an achievement or a success. I would want you to answer this after this break. This is the Lowdown on Ghanaweb TV. My name is Ismail Akwei. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back from the break. This is the Lowdown on Ghanaweb TV. My name is Ismail Akwei, and our guest is Mahmoud Jajah. He's the CEO of ZongoVation Hub. We are discussing Zongo and how interesting the Zongo community is, the diversity, and also the Zongo of yesterday. Is it the same as Zongo of today? This is a very important question, and you are taking us through this with the challenges of now. And if we want to juxtapose that with the challenges of before, in the past, maybe it's about food. And we know food is poverty. There's still poverty. However, there's some improvement in terms of enlightenment, in terms of education, in terms of technology and science. And you are one of the people who have brought these things to the people directly with the ZongoVation Hub. Now, I asked the question before we went on break on the human flight factor for the Zongo communities. Is the Zongo community losing his brightest, strongest and also talented human resource to other communities and also to other countries?
Yes, unfortunately, yes. It's a major problem in the Zongo community. Because of the structure of the Zongo community, once someone is a bit, let's say, moved from the lower class to the middle class or upper class, they wouldn't want to live in the Zongo community. No middle class or upper class would want to raise their family within the Zongo community because there are so many challenges within. So people tend to move out of the community. So it's a major challenge. But we can address it in the sense that if the society or the community invests in young people, even if you move out of the community, you will still come back to give back to the community. So you don't need to be staying or living in Zongo community to give back to Zongo community. Once you get the opportunity to live outside the community or abroad, whatever experiences you gather, you can bring it back to the community. Some of us have had to move at some point, but we still, have our projects and programs in the community. If you want to build world-class leaders from the Zongo community, you cannot build local champions. They cannot grow within the Zongo community and become world-class leaders. So even the software developers that we are training, we are giving them exposure to go out, to go and learn more, meet with some of the brightest minds, and then come back to give to the society. So unless we have, if you like, a program where we can get some of these young people to come back to give to the Zongo community, we'll still have some of these challenges. It is natural, human factor. Once you move from one level of to another level, you want to have like a comfortable life with your family.
So you don't see it as a deficit, you see it as an advantage?
It is an advantage if we manage it well. Okay, if we manage it well. It's just like, Africa as a whole is, facing this problem of brain drain, especially when it comes to software developers. But you need the experience from outside. You cannot stay in your small locality and become a world champion. You need to go out. But the point is, once you move out and you gain experience, the exposure, the resources, come back and give it to the society, give back to the society. So for now we can see it as a disadvantage, but if managed properly, you can turn it into an advantage.
You said something about how people don't have access to some resources and moving out, they just move on with their lives. But whose responsibility is it to develop the Zongo for people in there to say, yes, I've been given enough? Whose responsibility? Is it the state or is the people?
Developing a community or a society is a shared responsibility. Like I said, historically, even from the colonial days, when the colonial authorities were designing development programs, the Zongos were left out because they were seen as aliens. So they didn't enjoy, social amenities, even hospitals, schools, and all this. These are responsibilities of the state, So it's difficult for you to thrive when the environment is not conducive. It's difficult for you to even get education, healthcare, and so on and so forth. So it is now the responsibility of governments to partner with other private sector players to develop some of these critical infrastructures. As a private citizen, you have your limits on what you can do. So the government must look at the housing structure. Let's take Nima and Mamobi, for instance. The way we are living or staying in Nima Mamobi is not how we are supposed. Look, we are in the heart of Accra. The housing, problem where people don't even have toilets. Even the public toilets that we have, it's not enough to take care. This is 21st century. Every household must have its private toilet. So the government must come in to support some of these things. So the private citizen alone cannot transform. Government alone cannot. So it has to be shared responsibility, both government. That's why when Honorable Atachia was the Minister for Works and Housing, he even proposed that there's going to be some, housing, program for Nima, So they've acknowledged the fact that they need to step in. Because
it came with a heavy backlash, actually.
Exactly, because, people in the first place, people didn't believe it. And, actually, we didn't see anything, So you need to work with, private sector players. Nima Mamobi is, look, one of the challenges that we have, and I think we need to look at critically. Hernando de Soto, this Peruvian economist, wrote this book about the mystery of capital. Why capitalism, became successful in the West but not in developing countries. It's because we don't have titles to lands. Look at where Nima is situated. We are sitting on, if you like, a gold mine. Okay, but because most of the people there do not have titles to their land. So you have assets, you have possession, but you don't have documents to show. And you need some of these assets to be able to acquire capital to expand whatever you are doing. So where we are sitting is something that the government can look at it. Let's get title to everybody. There are people, a lot of people are owning their properties, but no title. Let's get title to these lands. Let's use it, okay, as collateral to get capital and investment to transform the society.
If a survey is done right now in Nima and the people are asked, would you agree to move out of Nima to, let's say, Dodowa, and the Nima will be developed and probably returned. Do you think more than 50% of the people will raise their hands and agree to
They
it?
don't need to move to Dodua because of historical, reasons. They don't, the people of Nima or Zongo would not trust politicians to leave Nima and move. They will not. You don't need to move them. There are people who have shown interest, and even private individuals are changing. They are transforming their local, residences into even apartments. Okay, so start with those who are willing to transform. Let's see some, examples of what you are trying to do. We don't expect you to do it at a large scale. Start small. Let's see what you are doing, and then gradually using the local people, because the people have stakeholders that they can trust, the chiefs, the imams, they can trust. Use them, but the politician will not be trusted, because politicians, successive governments have made so much promises and we don't see anything. So it will be difficult for a politician to be trusted on this
and
line.
Indeed, individuals are doing a lot for the Zongo communities. Even with the same Nima enclave, we have a lot of individuals who are doing a lot, like the Afro-Arab CEO who has built a park.
Exactly.
And a lot of parks are being lost in the community.
Let me come in. You see, an entrepreneur like Alhaji Salam, chairman of Afro-Arab, he's one person that needs government support, because one, he has a microfinance. When a lot of microfinance institutions were being collapsed because of so many reasons, their licenses being withdrawn, Afro-Arab was able to stand, and is providing lots of employment, lots of support to our market women especially. Now, this is a young man from the Zongo who is trying to do this, and he has built this institution over 10 years. He needs support, more injection of capital to be able to expand, give more young people the resources to be able to, because government alone cannot create jobs. We need to train more young entrepreneurs. So if somebody is doing something, is doing very well, we need to support him. So we need to identify people like Alhaji Abdul Salam. A lot of them are in the community. They are struggling on their own. He was able to build AstroTurf just behind his microfinance institution. And that place is being used for community activities. So somebody like this, when you give him more, he will do more. So we need, the government and other stakeholders to come in, because they will have that, the resources, the massive resources to inject in some of these things to be able to at least reduce the high unemployment rate, especially graduate unemployment rate. Because in the past, like you mentioned, the Zongo of yesterday, we didn't have lots of, graduates, even people with PhD and masters, we didn't have them, but now we have. We have lots of, even my mates, some of them are PhD holders and masters, they are lecturers, they are doctors, they are, we have every profession, you can get it in Zongo. But now they need the jobs, they need them, they need to use their skills. We need the support, intervention of the state to be able to maximize some of these potentials.
And the support is what you are offering with the ZongoVation Hub. Which year was it formed?
ZongoVation Hub was formed in 2018. Like I mentioned, it started as a project under IYD. In my previous work, I was with the Garden Embassy in Riyadh. So we cover UAE. So I was in Dubai when the ruler of Dubai launched the 1 million Arab coders initiative. What their leaders are doing for them is to provide them with the opportunity, the platform to be able to maximize their talents and potential. So because I've lived in the Arabs, I don't see any special traits in the Arabs. They are not more than us in terms of talents or So I thought that if their rulers can give them this platform, they want to create 1 million Arab coders, because that is where the world is going. The software is eating the world, literally, because everything runs on software, and you need young people to become the software developers. So if the Arabs are doing, why can't we do it? Sakawa started from the Zongo community. In fact, it's a Hausa word, Sakawa. So if these young people who started Sakawa did not have any formal training in this internet, fraud or cyber fraud, if you give them the opportunity, they have their laptop, you create the environment, the ecosystem for them, they'll be able to use that, because software developers are one of the highest, paid, professionals in the world. And with software development, you are not restricted to your local community. You can work globally. Whatever a software developer in Silicon Valley, California is doing, if you are in Nima or Mamobi with your laptop and internet, you can as well do it. So we started ZongoVation Hub. Our focus is that, look, for you to become competitive, you need competitive advantage. You cannot be competitive if there's no any competitive advantage. So we want technology to become our competitive advantage. When you want to become a lawyer, it can take you 4 years, 6 years. Or doctor, 6 years, 7 years. But if you want to become a software developer, with dedication and commitment and hard work, within 3 months, you can start doing something. You can start building websites or mobile application. So if someone is going to university for 4 years and you start within 6 months, you can become a software developer. And there are so many platforms where you can become a freelancer, build applications for people. Look, in India, Bangalore, most of these applications built by US and international organizations are built by software developers in Bangalore, somewhere in a slum with just his laptop. We can do that in the Zongo community. Young people don't have the resources to buy laptops or data, internet, That's why ZongoVation Hub, we created the space for them. Come to ZongoVation Hub. You want to become a software developer. We have the platform, we have the internet, we have the laptops for you to be able to, realize your dream. That's why we have the Zongo Coders program. We believe that strongly, and we are pushing by 2030, the Zongo should be able to produce more software developers than any parts of the country.
Are you really from the Zongo?
Yes.
Well, this is very interesting because if you are from the Zongo and you can do this and you have all this vision, and you are putting it into practice,
yes.
Everybody else can do things.
Exactly. That is the point. You see, technology has made almost everybody equal. It has democratized success. If you look, a Zongo person can become mention any profession, a doctor, a lawyer, anything. They need the platform. They need a platform, because the challenges of the Zongo community, there are people that we provide food, transportation, because even for a person to leave their house to come for training, you need to support them. That is why we engage with stakeholders. We will raise the resources and make sure that we make it available to them. We tell them every day that, look, you can do it. And that's why we want those who have become successful from the Zongo community to keep coming back. Let's see. Look, you were from the Zongo. You were born and bred from the Zongo. If you're able to do this, then your brother or sister can as well do it.
Is the plan working?
That so far it's working.
It's working. We'll talk about some of your successes right after this break. This is a Lowdown on Ghanaweb TV. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. This is the Lowdown on Ghanaweb TV. My name is Ismail Akwei. Our guest is Mahmoud Jajah. He's the CEO of ZongoVation Hub. We're having an interesting conversation on Zongo development and how the Zongo has no excuse to say it can't develop and it can't be better. So you are helping the Zongo to be better with ZongoVation Hub. We're talking about what you're doing with the Zongo Coders program and also other programs that you're working on. How successful is it since 2018 when you started? Yeah,
so like I mentioned before the break, so far so good. It's not working the way we expected it to work, because it takes two to tango. We provide a platform, the opportunity, but you need young, committed people to be able to go through the program. When we started with about 160 young people, trainees at a go. Along the line, we realized that some were dropping off. So we decided to tweak the program. So now we have full-time programmers that if you know that this is what you want to do in life, then you are going to dedicate yourself for 6 months to go through the program. And since we started, we're able to get young programmers. We are also in partnership with the Ghana Tech Lab through the Base Innovation Program sponsored by the MasterCard Foundation and the World Bank. So we're able to train young people in software development, which is mobile app development, website development, and then recently we did data science and analytics program. Some of them are working in other software development companies. Some of them are freelancers. Currently, we are putting together the Zongo Developers Forum. The Zongo Developer Forum is bringing all developers from the Zongo community together on the same platform. We want to create something like Andela. Andela is a platform where you go and then you see software developers, verified ones with, world-class, skills. So we want to create something for the Zongo community, not just our trainees, but any software developer in the Zongo community. So if you go to that platform, you see the skills they have, because we realize that we train them and everybody is doing their own thing, and it's difficult for us to bring them together. So through this platform, we are bringing all of them together. So far, about 100 people have applied.
Okay.
About 80% of them are like our former, students who are doing their own thing. So they're coming together on that platform.
So you're going to link them to jobs.
So exactly, that's what we're going to do. We are creating a website to put them on the website with their skills and everything. So for instance, if Ghanaweb is looking for developers to develop a particular, application, you go there, you look at their skills, and then you pick them. They can be freelance, or they can just come and support Ghanaweb. So that is what we are bringing them together.
Is there one for Ghana? I mean, the country, maybe? For
Ghana, no. I'm not aware of. So I know of private initiatives, like I mentioned, Andela. Andela is one such. It's a global company. Yeah, but our focus is we don't have one for Ghana, but we are trying to create one for the Zongo community, because we believe that we've trained enough. So far, we've trained more than 200 software developers from ZongoVation Hub with the little resources that we have.
Yes.
So we want to bring them together. Like I mentioned earlier, software is eating the world. Everything is going to run on application, and young people are the ones who are going to develop this application. Look, there's a Google report, Google and McKinsey, I think, came out with this Africa Developer Report, that the entire Africa, we have about 700,000 software developers. The state of California alone has more than 700,000. So if the state of California alone has more than 700,000 developers, and the entire Africa, the developers in Ghana is not even up to 20,000. Kenya, Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa are the leading countries with software developers. There's the need for us to develop, because the African digital economy is going to be massive, and software developers are the ones who are going to turn this economy around. So that's why we are thinking ahead. We make sure that, look, let's create an advantage in this area. Once we've started training these young people, let's create a platform for them, not just in Ghana, across Africa or across the world. If anyone is looking for software developers in Africa, you go to the platform, you see our young people who have the skills. Because if somebody can build application through, let's say, Python, computer programming, or JavaScript, if you go there, you see their skills. When it comes to software development, it's not about your certificate.
Yes.
What have you built with your skills and knowledge?
So you don't take people in based on their certificates?
Not at all. If you can read and write, if you can, because young kids as young as 5-6 years are learning programming. Even in Kenya now, programming is part of the curriculum. Okay, so we don't need any certification. Once you can read and write, you can learn to become a programmer. You can start from HTML, CSS, JavaScript, move. If you want to build powerful applications with Python programming languages, you can move. And data science. Now, almost everything is also being moved by data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence. How are we preparing the next generation of leaders in this space? That is our focus.
Artificial intelligence?
Yes, we just finished data science and analytics program with the Ghana Tech Lab. They are going through incubation. Wow. We are teaching them, because these are the technology of the future. Facial recognition, all this security, that is, we are establishing that lab where young people can have that full package of technology.
I'm sure those listening would be wondering, maybe they are not from Zongo. Can they also come out? You don't have to show. Is there any card you ask for to show that the person is really from Zongo?
So for us, the definition of Zongo by ZongoVation Hub is anybody who is disadvantaged.
Okay.
Whether Muslim or Christian, once you are disadvantaged, you are not from the East Lagons, you are not from the cantonments, where they have resources to be able to go through some of these programs, because it's expensive to become a data scientist or a machine learning engineer. But if you are from a disadvantaged society, because the Zongo belongs to anybody who lives in the Zongo, you can walk in. I can say about 50% of our students are non-Muslims. You know, it's open to any disadvantaged person.
And it's free.
And it's free. Because we don't want you to have an excuse. Because when you start to take money, these people are from, you know, deprived backgrounds. So how do you expect them to get the money to pay for a 6-month program? And like I mentioned, there are people that we feed. There are people that are coming from far places that we have to provide, you know, transportation. You know, so what we do is we engage with stakeholders, you know, the government, the private sector, raise the resources, the funding to support these young people.
You don't need a laptop. You don't need to pay any
we
fees.
have our we
have
have our ICT lab fully equipped with computers. We have laptops. Recently we're giving laptops by Ghana Tech Lab through the partnership that we have with them, and even the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization through the Ghana Fund for Digital, you know, Information Technology. They provided us with some computers. So we are still, you know, getting support, because for individual in the Zongo community, it may be difficult for you to even acquire a laptop. In the first place, people would not even, some of them, it's difficult for them because of the lack of credibility, you know. But as an institution, we're able to get these resources, bring it. We have our place. Everything is free. You have internet, you have computers, you have everything.
Where can we find the ZongoVation Hub?
ZongoVation Hub is near the National Mosque at Kanda. We share the same building with the Community Youth Cultural Center. So those who are familiar with 37 Military Hospital, just behind the hospital, there's this basketball court. That's where ZongoVation Hub is.
So they can just walk in and then you show them the programs.
So usually what we do is we advertise our programs. Currently, we are running the Zongo Coders program. They are about to finish. So it means we are coming out with a new program, especially for secondary school leavers. They are going to be in the house. So we are coming out with a program to engage them. And then we're also doing an incubation program for data science and analytics program. We also have the Zongo Shark Tank, you know, because we realize that not everybody can become a technology entrepreneur or professional. There are people with ideas that they want to start their own businesses. So the Zongo Shark Tank, you come and pitch your ideas in front of judges, panel of judges, and then if you are fortunate enough to answer their questions and you are selected, we'll give you 10,000 Ghana cedis grants, free money, to implement your ideas. That is one of the things we need to do to build the ecosystem. We need to give young people free money, in quotes, to test their ideas, because the likes of Silicon Valley and London, this is how they started, with this support from venture capitals. So that's what Zongo Shark Tank is doing. And we also give you technical support, because you need accounting support, you need, you know, legal support to be able to run some of these businesses. So currently, these are the programs we are running.
So the other issue is, how do you follow these people who have graduated from your programs to see if indeed they are practicing what they've been taught, or they are just at home doing nothing?
So that is why we recently launched the Zongo Data Lab project. We have an in-house data scientist at ZongoVation Hub. The Zongo Data Lab is collecting data about Zongo communities. We want everything, because we are data driven. Everybody that passes through the organization will have data on the person, and will know what the person is doing. When we started, because we didn't have a data scientist, we were able to miss some of these things. But since last year, we started collecting data. So once you come into our space, it's going to be a long-term partnership, because we want to see you succeed, and we want to create a platform, because we also have opportunities from companies that are looking for young people to do internship. So once you are within that ZongoVation Hub network, we'll be able to link you up. So we monitor their progress. If they have challenges, they come to us. the space is open for every young person.
Besides Accra, is ZongoVation Hub anywhere else in Ghana?
Unfortunately, for now, we are based in Accra, but
Okay.
the target is,
All
national,
Zongos.
all Zongos. But our space is only in Accra. We are thinking of getting a new space in Kumasi very soon, but it all boils down to resources. Once we are able to, yes, exactly. Once we get the resources, we'll be able to. We have online programs, but like I mentioned, the challenges. People don't have laptops, they don't have internet. So even if you have an online program, it's difficult for them. So that's why we want the space, the physical space where they can walk into. So we are looking at expanding, but for now we are based in Accra.
With all these beautiful ideas and also beautiful projects that you've already implemented for some years now, how do you see the Zongo in the next 10 years?
So in the next 10 years, or we can even break it down to next 8 years, which is by 2030, the end of the Sustainable Development Goals, we want to see a lot of improvement. On our part, we want to focus on human resource. There are, if you go on social media, almost every month, you see one Zongo boy or girl, excelling in their own field, their chosen endeavor. So by 2030, inshallah, we want to see more young people doing so well. But more important and critically, we want them to come back and give back to the society. So at ZongoVation Hub, we tell you that we are training you for free. We want you to go out there to succeed. But when you succeed, come back and give back to the society. Either it can be through ZongoVation Hub or it can be through other means. Because ZongoVation Hub alone cannot solve all our problems. We need so many organizations to be able to help solve. So we want, by 2030, inshallah, we want to see a lot of young people doing so well. But more importantly, we want the Zongo communities to become the tech hub of Africa, where if you are looking for somebody to develop your app or your website or build any, software, system, you look to the Zongos. Yeah, because over the years, the image, has not been good. We want that to change.
There's always that ripple effect where when you train one person from a poor family, if the person becomes successful, the rest of the generation benefits.
Yes.
Because the person now has an insight into what works and what doesn't work, how to get out of poverty. And then he feeds a lot more.
The light you see is the light you appreciate.
Yes.
When Kudus scored, Mohamed Kudus,
the Black Stars
player from Nima, playing for Ajax against Liverpool, when he scored a goal, there was a video, I saw it on Ghanaweb, where young footballers from Right to Dream Academy were watching the football. Mohamed Kudus passed through Right to Dream Academy. He went through the ranks, and now he's an international star. So when he scored the goal, they were so excited and they were happy. So they were motivated. This was a guy born and bred in a Zongo community, went through Right to Dream Academy, playing at the highest level of international football, scoring. So it gives them that motivation. In Talent Code, there's a book called Talent Code. There was a research about why Brazil, was producing a lot of football. It's the environment. They see young Brazilians excelling at the international level. So if we are able to create software developers, world-class software developers from the Zongo community, to show the younger ones that, look, this guy was born and bred here. We were with him. Look at where he is. He's building this for Google, for Microsoft, for Facebook. You can do it. It motivates them. It pushes them to be able to do something.
Now, about that, do we have a lot of Zongo people who have made it up there, and a lot of young people should look up to them?
So we are getting there. For now, I don't have the statistics. I don't have the data. But like I mentioned, by 2030, inshallah, 8 years from now, we should have world-class developers working with some of these international companies. That is why, from your previous question about brain drain, if you are building world-class developers, you don't want them to remain in the same community. They need to go to the Googles, the Facebook, the Twitter, shoulder to shoulder with some of these world-class developers. And then we can use them as an example, to show to the younger ones that, look, this guy was born here. Look at where he is. You can do it. So I believe that, inshallah, by 2030, we'll get there. We'll have a lot of them, inshallah.
Away from development, which other areas is the Zongo community doing so well in terms of the youth and those who are helping give back? If you can mention a few who are doing so well in the communities.
So for individual, there are individuals who are doing so well. There's Zongo Inspiration Team, you know, which is even currently running a quiz competition in the community. You know, like I mentioned, education. These young people are given the platform that they see this science and maths quiz on TV, and they started from this, you know, ZIT's program. So they aim high. They want to always push. So these organizations are giving them the platform. So ZIT, led by Alhaji Rabi Umode, they are doing very well in terms of education, because now after the program they give scholarships. So these young people are always aiming high. They want to get there. There's Achievers Ghana. Achievers Ghana is also from Mamubi, where especially they are focusing on girls. You know, we also had a program about girls, because in the Zongo community, because it's more or less like a conservative society, women are usually, you know,
they don't get the push.
You know. So Achievers Ghana, for instance, Amadou Mohammed and his team, they are trying to get young people, you know, so they also have young people even in IoT, Internet of Things, you know, coders and all this thing. They are doing extremely well. So there are other individuals who are also, you know, pushing hard. You know, we have Ijara is also pushing hard, and then even Success Book Club, Mazi Okoro and his team, you know, they were through Success Book Club. A lot of young people are now even studying abroad. Some of them are doing their masters, some of them are doing their PhD program, because of the environment that they have. You know, we compete, you know, with each other. That look, I want to get here, I want to get there. Almost, you know, half of members of Success Book Club are now into various programs. So these are young people who are doing well. But although we are doing well, the sad part is that all these are in Accra. You know, all these are in Accra. So I always get the question, when are you moving out of Accra? When are you moving out of Accra? And I keep telling them, it's the resources. The young people in Accra are doing this by themselves. We are pushing. Those of you from the other regions, do with the little that you have. You know, we can't feed everybody. And like Mother Teresa said, if you can't feed 100 people, just feed one person. Okay? But the others can also do something. That's why we need the intervention of institutions like the Zongo Development Fund, because they have the resources and they can scale some of these initiatives. At least we have proven that giving additional resources, we can scale these programs up. So we need them to come in to expand the programs.
Definitely, the Zongo of yesterday is not the Zongo of today.
Absolutely not.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
for
coming
on the Lowdown.
Thank you very much.
Hope to see you again with some more successes from the ZongoVation Hub. This is the Lowdown on Ghanaweb TV. We had a very interesting and exciting discussion on the Zongo development agenda. My name is Ismail Akwei. Watch us every Monday on all of Ghanaweb's digital channels. Be safe.